Have you ever been reading along, totally in the zone, and then bam, a word just stops you dead in your tracks? Well, today, we're going to crack the code on how to not just learn new words, but to actually make them a permanent part of your vocabulary. And we're going to do it using a surprisingly simple tool you've probably seen before. You know that feeling, right? You're cruising through a great article or a book, and then a word you've never seen before just pops up. It completely breaks your flow, and honestly, it can be super frustrating. But what if I told you there's a systematic way to conquer those words for good? Take a look at this. At first glance, it just looks like a page from a workbook, right? But it's so much more. This isn't about boring memorization. It's a mental workout. Think of it as a toolkit that's going to turn you from a passive reader into an active word detective, ready to solve any linguistic mystery you come across. So, here's our game plan. This whole mental workout has 4 key stages. First, we're going to become word detectives. Then, we'll put those words into practice. After that, we'll learn how to build connections. And finally, the most important part, we'll make these words truly our own. Ready? All right, first stop on our journey, becoming a context clue detective. This is absolutely the foundational skill. It's all about training your brain to spot the clues that are hiding in plain sight right there in the text, just waiting for you to find them. And here's the secret sauce. A simple 4-step approach. First, you just look at the photo, the visual clue. Then, you read the caption and try to swap in a word you already know. Step 3, you test that swap in the main sentence to see if it still makes sense. And finally, you lock in your prediction. It's this powerful process of deduction that really works. Let's see this thing in action. Okay, for the word conviction, we see a picture of a protester. The text says she was led by her conviction that change was needed. My brain immediately jumps to a word like belief, a strong belief. Now for critic, we've got a person studying a painting. The sentence says, the art critic took a long time to study the painting. This totally suggests a critic is someone who judges or analyzes something. See, the pictures and the words work together to unlock the meaning. Okay, so now we know how to decode a word. That's great, but it's only half the battle. Now it's time to actually put it to work. Knowing a definition is one thing, but using a word correctly, that's where the real learning happens. We're moving from just understanding to actively using. All right, time for a quick practice run. What word do you think fits in this blank? Malia couldn't change Nina's strong what? If you said conviction, you nailed it. And by doing that, you're not just remembering a definition, you're actually applying it in a brand new context, which makes that connection in your brain so much stronger. Let's do one more. Henry thought firefighters were blank. He wanted to show courage and help others. The word that slots in here perfectly is valiant. See how the sentence just gives you all the clues you need? This kind of rapid-fire practice really starts to make recalling the word feel second nature. Okay, so using the words is a huge step, but if we really want to cement them in our memory, we've got to go one level deeper. The next stage of this workout is all about justifying why we chose that word. This forces your brain to process the meaning on a much deeper level. So, how would you finish this one? The crowd was probably elated, right? And why were they elated? Because their team won the championship at the last second. You see, when you connect a word like elated directly to the reason for that feeling, you're building this powerful, logical, and emotional link. And that's hard to forget. This leads us right into our third technique, and it's all about how our brains are wired. Our minds don't just store words in little isolated boxes. Nope, they create these huge interconnected webs. So the more connections a new word has to words you already know, the easier it is to find it and use it when you need it. And this is exactly what that looks like. Matching a new word to a synonym you already know is like building a bridge in your brain. Conviction connects to opinion. Valiant gets linked to courageous. Stifle finds a partner in prevent. Each of these little pairings makes your mental map stronger and your vocabulary way more flexible. And now we have arrived at the final, and I think the most powerful step in this whole process. This is where you stop treating the word like something you're just studying, and you start weaving it into the fabric of your own life, your own experiences. Just think about this question for a second. It's doing something really profound. It takes this abstract idea, valiant, and it forces you to anchor it to a real person you actually know. Maybe it's your mom, a teacher, a historical figure you admire. By explaining why they're valiant, you create this incredibly personal, unforgettable connection to that word. Or how about this one? This question connects the word stifled to a memory, maybe even a strong emotion. When you recall that feeling, that experience, the word becomes so much more than just its dictionary definition. It becomes part of your story. And that is the absolute key. When words are tied to our own lives, they stick with us forever. So there you have it. That's your complete vocabulary building toolkit. You start out as a detective, using context clues. Then you get active, practicing with scenarios. You build that word web with synonyms. And then, the final boss level, you make the words your own by connecting them to your life. Because at the end of the day, learning new words isn't just some school exercise. Every single word you master is a new tool in your belt. A tool you can use to better understand the world, to express your own ideas, and to actually shape your own reality. So the only question left is, what world will you build?